Hi guys, this is Miss Leslie from the Paul Sawyer Public Library. Thanks so much for joining me today, and happy Groundhog Day. Who knows if that groundhog saw his shadow or if we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. But regardless, I'm going to show you a really fun groundhog craft that you can do with your families at home. You can make your own paper plate groundhog. All right guys, let's get started on our groundhog. So, like I tell you every time we meet for a craft, I like to have all my materials in front of me so I don't have to go scrambling for them. So what you will need for your paper plate groundhog, just a couple of paper plates. Regular everyday old paper plates will be just fine. Some markers, I have a brown and black marker, a pair of scissors, some glue or glue dots. I'm using glue dots, but regular old glue will do. A black pom-pom for his nose. If you don't have a black pom-pom, you can use a different color pom-pom, or you can draw on his nose. Googly eyes. If you do not have googly eyes, no worries. You can draw on your eyes, or if you have stickers that are eyes, use that, whatever you have available. There are many different options here. I've got some brown construction paper that I'm going to use for his mouth, and I've got a piece of white cardstock, or you can use white construction paper, or even if you have another white paper plate, you can cut off a piece of the paper plate for this too. The white construction paper or white cardstock or paper plate are for the groundhog's teeth. So let's get started. So what I have done here is I have taken a regular paper plate and I have just colored it in brown. Now you can paint it brown if you want to. You'll just have to let it dry a little longer. Or you can color it with a crayon or a colored pencil. I just used a regular old brown magic marker. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It does not have to be fancy. If you have a brown paper plate at home, you can use that too. But I just colored in a brown paper plate. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the groundhog's ears. Now, I did that by cutting a paper plate in half, like I did this one. So I used my second paper plate and I cut it in half. And then what I did is I just cut out an ear shape out of the paper plate. And you can make your ears any old way you want them. There is no right or wrong way to do it. But I'm just going to show you how I did this. So basically, all I did was cut out a rounded piece out of that paper plate. And if you want to do that out of your brown construction paper, out of brown cardstock, you can do that too. It's completely up to you. So basically that's all I did out of the paper plate. And then I took a piece of the brown construction paper and I did the exact same thing out of that. I just cut a rounded shape out of it to match the one that I've got out of the paper plate. And it's kind of hard to judge, so I just kind of trimmed it down to fit, because I'm not a good judge when I cut stuff out sometimes. But that's okay, you can always trim it down. So that's about right. So what I'm going to do is because I want that brown piece to be a little bit smaller, like I did with this one. See how this one's a little bit smaller? I'm going to trim that brown piece a little more. And you do not have to do this if you don't want to. It is completely up to you. So I have my ear about like that. So I just trimmed an ear out of half of a paper plate, and then I'll do the very same thing for my other ear. And then I trimmed the inner part of the ear out of my brown construction paper. Now you can create any type of ear you want. It does not have to be like this. So what I did is I took the other one that I did earlier and I colored it in with my brown marker. And that's what you can do too if you use the paper plate. You can color it in with a marker, crayon, colored pencil. You can paint it if you want to do that. But like I said, you'll have to let that paint dry a little bit. And then what I'll do is I'll take the little brown piece that I cut out of the construction paper and I'll put it in the center of my paper plate ear. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a glue dot, and if you have regular glue, that's fine too. I'm just kind of cheating a little bit and using the glue dot because it makes it go a little faster. And that's what it'll look like. Now you can see on the one I did earlier, I used like a cream colored, so you could use that too. You can really make it any way you want. But there's the first ear. So I've got my second ear already cut out and colored. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to cut out another brown shape out of my construction paper. And I'll probably have to cut it down a little bit, and that is okay. It does not have to be perfect. It is your own creation. I'm sure that no two groundhogs are exactly alike. All right, so take another glue dot, put it on the back of this brown piece of construction paper, and put it in the center. And there are my 2 ears for my groundhog. There you go. All right, so now I've got my ears. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the groundhog's mouth, or his little face piece right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brown construction paper. So I'm using my brown construction paper for my ears and for my mouth. And I'm just going to cut out, instead of trying to cut out from this big piece, I'm going to cut a smaller piece because that's a little bit easier to work with. And I'm just going to kind of cut a rounded piece out of this. So I'm just going to kind of start to make a mouth out of it. And you can make any type of mouth you want. It does not have to be like mine, and it does not have to be perfect in any way, shape, or form. Because, like I said, I'm sure that no 2 groundhogs are alike. So I just kind of cut out a little rounded shape out of that. And then I made a little divot in the middle, kind of where the nose is going to sit. And then I'm going to kind of go around to the bottom, and I'm going to trim a little bit to kind of make a similar divot at the bottom, just to make it a little bit more. But you can do just a long rounded piece if you want to. You do not have to make a little divot if you don't want to. It is completely up to you. So let me get that out of the way. So there is my little mouthpiece. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start putting those things on. So I'm going to start with my ears. And I'm going to put a few glue dots on the front of my ears. And I'm going to stick this to the back of the paper plate. There is one ear. All right, Mr. Groundhog, and I think I'm going to call my groundhog Gregory here. Why, I don't know, but Gregory just sounds like a good name. And this is an easy craft that doesn't take a whole lot of supplies, and a lot of these things you already have at home. There's my other ear. Now I'm going to do the same thing for my mouth, and I'm not going to like glue my mouth down completely because I want to slide his teeth under there. All right, let me put a few more glue dots and then we'll glue his mouth down. Well, the glue dot is sticking to me, guys, instead of coming off and sticking to the groundhog. All right, so I've got his mouth with glue dots on it, and I'm going to kind of stick that down, kind of in the center of the paper plate. And then I'm going to pull some googly eyes off my googly eye sheet here. And I love big googly eyes, but like I said, you can use any kind of eyes you want. You can use smaller googly eyes if you want to, or you can draw your eyes on, or you can like cut them out of construction paper or use stickers. And I'm going to straighten his mouth out a little bit. That's a little crooked. That's the good thing about these glue dots is I can pull it up if I need to. All right. Straighten that eye up a little bit. There we go. All right. So we've got his mouth on there. Now we're going to put his nose, and I've got a little black pom-pom for his nose, but you can draw on his nose if you want to. You can use a different colored pom-pom, whatever you have. You can use a cotton ball if you want to. Let's see. Okay, that seems to be sticking. All right, and now I am going to cut out his teeth, and that's what I've got, this little piece of white cardstock. But you can also, the other half of your paper plate, if you don't have a piece of white cardstock or white construction paper, you can also cut out a little square from that paper plate. It's just a simple little square for his 2 front teeth. We'll trim it down just a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black magic marker, and I'm going to draw a line down the front of his teeth there. So it's going to look just like that. Then I'm going to take a glue dot here, and I'm going to slide, put a little glue dot on the back of the tooth, and we'll slide that tooth underneath. There we go. And then I'm going to take my black magic markers and put a few whiskers on my groundhog. Make sure everything is secure. So I have my googly eyes on there, I have my pom-pom nose, I have my mouth, I have my tooth, and my ears. And voila, you have your very own paper plate groundhog. So you can make him with the brown ears like this, or the other ones like this. You can make it any way you want, but that is a fun groundhog craft that you can do at home with your families. So happy Groundhog Day, guys, and thanks so much for joining me today. Have a great day.